You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
I'm Jordan Klinger, an attorney at McIntyre Law. The decision to hire an attorney after you've been injured is important. The decision on who to hire is even more important. At McIntyre Law, we will settle a case if the offer to our client is fair. Partial justice is no justice at all. At McIntyre Law, we are committed to obtaining full justice for our clients. Contact McIntyre Law at 405-917-5200 or visit us at mcintyrelaw.com.
I am Conor McGregor, multiple weight MMA champion. I'm a fighter and I've been through many battles in the octagon. Many consider my fights in the octagon heroic, but the real life heroes are those men and women who fight to protect us every day. The real life fighters, the real life heroes, are the firefighters and police officers. These first responders are true heroes, because these brave men and women put themselves in the line of danger every single day protecting us all. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation ensures that first responders from fire, EMS and police departments who are killed in the line of duty with young children have a home without the burden of a mortgage. They are my heroes. They need our help today. I'd like to ask you to join me in donating $11 a month to support their efforts. Your $11 a month honours and supports our first responders. Please call now at 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
At the LASIK Vision Institute, we know LASIK is a big decision, and every one of our patients is unique. That's why we customize your LASIK journey to you.
I only have a certain budget.
No problem. Right now at the LASIK Vision Institute, get 20% off LASIK when treated in April. That can be over $900 off when treating both eyes, plus guaranteed financing options. So visit GetLVILASIK.com today to start your journey towards 20/20 vision. Must mention this promotion and be treated in April of 2024 to qualify. 20% off standard price of wave light procedure. Cannot be combined with any other offers. Go to GetLVILASIK.com for details. At the LASIK Vision Institute, we know LASIK is a big decision, and every one of our patients is unique. That's why we customize your LASIK journey to you.
I'm so busy right now.
We offer a mix of convenient days and times, including 30-minute virtual appointments to fit your schedule.
I would love it, but I have astigmatism.
We treat thousands of patients with astigmatism every month with great outcomes. The LASIK Vision Institute is making your journey towards 20/20 vision all about you. So visit GetLVILASIK.com today to start your LASIK journey.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, and drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Red Wine. This is Darylyn Haywood and my fabulous co-host, Diane Byer. Tonight we welcome guest, Carrie McRae, who will tell us about a 14-year-old female student who was indecently assaulted in school, in the bathroom, by an illegal alien student. And we're going to talk about the provisions of Title 42, Chapter 1983, which allows students and parents to sue superintendents, principals, and school committee members personally. That means that victims of crimes can be living in one school committee's house while driving the superintendent's car and renting out the other 5 houses to whoever the heck they want. So, Carrie, why don't you tell us what you know, how you became to know it?
Well, thank you again for reaching out and asking me to join the call tonight. And I will say that just to clarify, the situation that we're talking about is involving 2 children over the course, honestly, of 2+ years. So in 2022, this woman, Caitlin Hutchinson from Kingston, Massachusetts, enrolled her children in the Kingston Public Schools elementary school. And within 6 months of buying their home and enrolling their children in the school district, their 5, almost 6-year-old daughter was assaulted, physically bullied, punched, and I guess they are calling it indecent assault because the young daughter was in the bathroom and using the bathroom, and another student, same age, a little bit older, went underneath the stall, a female student, and was harassing her while she was on the toilet going to the bathroom, and then proceeded to kiss her, and it's this whole mess.
And tell us what the sex of both students were, Carrie.
So in that first instance, both
there was 2.
So the victim, female, and the the assailant, I guess, I don't know what you would
perpetrator,
the perpetrator,
the illegal perp.
Yes. She is also a female, and continues to bully other students and her daughter, even after this quote unquote safety plan was put in place.
Yeah, I'll tell you about the safety plan.
Yeah. And just recently, as of this past weekend, the mother was, dealing. Well, I should say a couple of weeks ago, there was another incident with the same student. Here we are.
Well, let's take them. Let's take them one at a time.
Yeah.
So were they? Are you saying that this woman has 2 children that were assaulted in the schools?
She has
different
2
occasions?
children.
You've got to be kidding me.
2 children on different occasions.
Okay, so let's start with the first one. When was the first one reported? And who reported it?
The first one was reported. So the first one was reported by the victim. As soon as the situation happened where she was getting hit.
What was that date, Carrie?
That was, I don't know the exact date, but I know that in the police report it's listed. I just don't have it with me because there was a report that was filed with the police and the DA's office and so on and so forth. And supposedly they're still investigating it. That was, I want to say, like October/November of 2022.
They're still investigating it. They're still investigating it now. No, you know what they're trying to do? They're trying to pull people
under the rug
over the 300 days so that they, I don't think they can file with MCAD, but this is a clear violation, Carrie. It does not take 3 months to investigate a. And when I say simple, okay, I don't mean simple in that it's not important. I mean simple in the fact that there was one victim and one perpetrator, and I believe, unless I'm mistaken, that the perpetrator copped to this act. So. Yes. So, what's the investigation really? And do they have a Title IX coordinator at this school? And was this a middle school? They do have a
Title IX coordinator. In fact, So there's two different situations, right? So she has one daughter who is 2 years older than the other daughter. So the first situation, or the first incident, if you will, the first assault, that is on her oldest child of 3. And
He's 14.
No, there's no 14-year-olds. Nope, no 14-year-olds. No. So the daughter is now 8. The oldest is now 8. So from 6 years old to 8 years old, the student that assaulted her repeatedly, the other female student who assaulted her repeatedly, is still in the same school, still literally the hallway across from her. And 2 weeks ago, assaulted her again, bullying her, pushing against the wall.
And she's 6.
And so they are now 8 years old.
So let me just
happened when they were
backtrack. Yeah.
Yep.
So the initial assault happened in the bathroom at the age of 6.
Yep.
And then it has continued over the past 2 years. And then just recently, as 2 weeks ago, the child who is now 8, both of them who are now 8, well, I think the other girl was older, assaulted her again and shoved her against the wall. Okay, so that's child number 1. What about child number 2?
So the child number 2 situation, the mother this past Sunday, so just 3 days ago, the second daughter, second to oldest, their middle child, who is a girl, said to her mother, "Hey, listen, I just want to let you know that Simon is what they call this little boy, Simon, who is also 5 or almost 6 years old. When their daughter was in the bathroom, going to the bathroom, this little boy who went into the stall next to her, because it's gender fluid bathroom, went into the stall next to her and went up under the stall and was, being a pain in the butt, right? Just being difficult. Didn't necessarily physically assault her, but was bullying her around, just harassing her. For one, went under the stall, and the little daughter said, "Hey, get out, get out, get out. I'm going to the bathroom." And the little boy came up, and then she told them to get out. The little girl reported it to her teacher on the day that it occurred.
Well, I hope that teacher filed a report with DCF and called the police. Did they?
No. From what we understand, nothing was filed. In fact,
unbelievable.
So let me just say, and thank you for helping me to keep it in line, because it's insane when you look at the whole situation. So basically, the daughter on Sunday said, "Mommy, this happened." And the mother said, "Well, when did this happen?" And she said, "I don't know, a couple weeks ago." So on Monday morning, the mother sent an email and a text message and called and said, "What the hell happened with my kid?" Now, I will say that, the mother has become more vocal because her daughter continues to be assaulted, right? Physically bullied by this other child, who I will say speaks very little English. Okay. So the mother said, kind of was thinking in her brain a little bit like maybe, because the situation is very similar to what happened with my other daughter, maybe my youngest daughter or my middle child is thinking, kind of looking for attention, right? So there was
I just want to interrupt Carrie for 1 second. And I want to tell parents, and I'm not saying that she did this, okay, but do not ever doubt your children when they tell you something. That's all I want to say. I'm sorry to interrupt. Yes. Go ahead.
No, and you're right. And I think, right, I mean, at the end of the day, she said, something must have happened, right? So she calls to the school. And I think she was kind of hoping that they would say, "Oh, what? Oh my gosh, geez, we'll have to check into that." But what happened once she got a hold of the teacher said, "Yes, there was an incident. It did occur, but we're still investigating it." So now the mother.
So they didn't notify. Oh my God, they didn't notify the parents.
They didn't notify the parents. And here's this is the worst part of it. So yesterday I'm talking to the mother, and she was like, there's a school committee meeting, but it's not the right school committee group because it's for the high school and the middle school kids. She's like, so I'm being told to not go because it's not the right, it's a regional school meeting, not.
I mean, that
Kingston
makes
Elementary.
sense. I mean, Carrie, you and I being on school boards, that absolutely makes sense. It's not their wheelhouse.
I agree. But I told her, absolutely, you go to this meeting and I will meet you there. And you call your friends and you get people to support you to be there. And she did that because here's the caveat. This problem of,
Did we lose Carrie?
Children. Nope, I'm here.
Okay, good. Sorry.
The problem with the migrant children in our schools, taking away resources and so on and so forth, goes across all of the schools. Okay. And the superintendent who continues to just brush things under the rug, that superintendent was going to be at that meeting. So I said to her, you know what? They didn't post the meeting. They didn't post it legally.
That's
like
a violation of
it's
open meeting law.
It's an open meeting law violation, which we're already kind of like working on. So because you had such a hard time even making sure that there was a meeting because nobody posts on any of the town websites, the town hall, sites or whatever, I said, we need to go and do this. So in doing so, she then worked going back and forth talking. And I'll be honest with you, part of me was like, you know what, I want to just, this is crazy. This happens to two of her children, right? It's my first instinct, right? Here I am running for politics. I want to make sure that I cross my T's and dot my I's before I really put my foot in my mouth, right? So I said, can you send me a copy of what you have of this second incident? She sends it to me and I'm reading through the safety plan and the communication. She shows me all the communications with the superintendent and with the principal and vice principal. And I look and when this incident took place, January 26th of 2024.
You have got to be kidding me.
So her 5-year-old daughter says, hey, mommy, guess what Simon did, right? And I told him, you get out of here. You get out of here. He didn't really know what I was saying because he doesn't really understand English.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You know what? Nobody should be doing that.
Exactly.
Little girls are little girls and little boys should be entitled to go to the bathroom in private without having to worry that there's going to be another child of the opposite sex that's going to be going underneath their stall and staring at them. That's uncomfortable. It's not right.
And this is so weird because this happened at my daughter's school. I can't remember if it was this year or last year, but a girl who had the principal who I've had issues with before said, well, this is what happened. So one of the girls is going to the bathroom, and I believe they were sophomores or juniors at the time. Another girl who's deficient has cognitive issues. Thank you. I'm so tired. I've been stumbling over my words. Went underneath the stall while this girl was going to the bathroom. So the girl starts saying, like, what the F? Get the hell out of here. Blah, 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 blah. So the girl who was still under the stall while this girl is trying to go to the bathroom, so the girl finally escapes. She goes to the principal of my kid's school and is like, this is what happened. You know what the principal said to her? How dare you speak to her that way? She's learning disabled. And she was like, I was going to the bathroom. She crawled underneath the stall and I yelled at her to leave. And I'll tell you, Diane and I investigate these types of matters, and they all have the same common denominator. One, the superintendent says something absolutely ridiculous like this, and no other students were in danger.
Yeah.
Diane and I investigated the Mashpee superintendent and pro bono, on a tip from someone that she brought in prisoners, 6 convicted felons, into the school to as a cheap labor opportunity, and said that they were safe, and unbeknownst to all the teachers because they weren't told about it. The
teachers, parents, and students.
And students. No one was told about it. So the substitute teacher brought 20 band members into the auditorium and left them unsupervised while the inmates were working. And we have video to show that the inmates were in and out, in and out, in and out. We have students walking by the inmates. And this superintendent had the gall to vote herself a raise. And you know what? Shame on Mashpee parents. Shame on Mashpee School Committee. And I am imploring anyone. Diane and I will do these cases on contingency, and we have a slew of lawyers that we use. Chapter 1983 allows parents to sue the schools, the superintendent, each individual school committee member, and the principal and the assistant principal individually. And I am tired of this. And Diane, they are responsible because every person there that was silent is culpable. And it's a shame that our United States protections, our civil rights are being violated. Our constitutional rights are being violated. Our children are being violated, and the schools remain silent. And I say that when you get into Senate, you write legislation to, one, bring transparency to schools, and two, not only do teachers who remain silent on these issues, they are disbarred from teaching, period. Because the Barnstable superintendent and principal who didn't protect my daughter when I just asked for mere investigation resigned and went to another school district. That's wrong.
Well, and that's a huge problem in the educational field, is where they're given the choice of resign or be fired, and then they take the resignation, and then they get a one sentence recommendation, which I don't think they should be getting any type of recommendation from a superintendent. But the problem is they still give them that one letter, one sentence letter with the recommendation, and they go off to another school and they do the same thing.
Yep. They just want to get rid of the liability,
So, so this I'm sorry, I'm so upset about this because Diane and I have investigated so many of these cases for trial lawyers. And it is disgusting to think, we always thought, your teacher, you bring them an apple, they're such good people.
But they are. 95% are great, fantastic teachers.
And what happens is it's much like the police, right? The people who want to report are retaliated against. Like Bonnie Manchester, who worked under Stacey Monette, and she was sued federally. I don't know if anyone remembers this I believe it was Western Massachusetts, for trying to trans siblings, one to be a boy and the other one to be a girl, against the parents' wishes. And Bonnie Manchester was a whistleblower. Well, Bonnie Manchester got fired. So the retaliation is ridiculous. The secrecy is ridiculous. And these people have our children for 8 hours a day. And I am so sick and tired of it. I will work on a contingency basis for any parent who wants to sue the crap out of Kingston High School.
Yep. Kingston School District.
I'm sorry, school district. My apologies.
Yep. Yeah, it's the Kingston School District.
We all have equal protection of the 14th Amendment. And that means, government employees, and they are government employees as much as they don't want to say, they are government employees.
And here's the thing, here's the problem, which I'll say is a big problem when it comes to Massachusetts, is you have, and I hope, Carrie, you can change this when you're elected, but you have the level of secrecy in your, House and Senate, because their deliberations are all held in private. No one knows what they're talking about. No one knows the discussions or whatnot, only what people decide to report. And that trickles down a lot of times to your local levels, even though, believe it or not, municipalities and school districts are supposed to have a far higher level of transparency than your, state government, which is insane when you think about it. We have to follow all these laws. We have to have specific reasons to go into, non-public or executive session. But a lot of times, because people aren't going to the meetings, they're not engaging in their local politics, people are able to pull the wool over parents and taxpayers' eyes. And until people become engaged and start attending these things, Daryl, and you sat through what I would call mind-numbing information because, I was even watching it going, and like, when you were in Orleans,
Oh,
listening to their discussion. I mean, I was sitting there like, I can't listen to this anymore. And I'm on a board.
So many of our elected officials have abdicated their responsibility,
Yes.
not only their fiduciary responsibilities for the towns, but they have abdicated their care of students. And I want people to know too that for people who maybe a first time listener, I'm a retired state trooper. And I loved my job. It was the greatest job in the world. But school resource officers come from local departments, and they have an MOU, which is called a Memorandum of Understanding.
Yep.
And oddly enough, you have the police officer there to keep the students safe, correct? So the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, is an agreement between the school district and the police department. And I have to say, maybe police department should start to step up, because the school resource officer is not allowed to investigate violations that the school commits against students. They're only allowed to investigate something that involves a student. So what happens is what happened in my case is the principal said, well, I didn't investigate under Title IX. I investigated as a parent complaint. And I said, except I wasn't the one who complained. My 13-year-old daughter complained that a 50-year-old guitar teacher kept putting his hands on her. I never said it was sexual because I didn't know. I asked for an investigation. My daughter asked 4 times she's 13, she weighed 78 pounds, and she was in guitar class, and he kept touching her. And the school refused to do anything until they finally hired attorney Regina Ryan,
oh God help
who
me,
is being sued by Revere PD for 2 police officers who are suing for sexual harassment. She is suing them for defamation of character for her terrible investigation. She said that perhaps the music teacher did not hear my daughter. Now, anybody who knows me and anyone who's listening, do you think anybody did not hear my daughter?
I know.
Do you think I haven't taught my daughter boundaries?
Your daughter's mouth opens and your voice comes out. Let's just put it that way.
And I have to say, I have a friend from the state police, and I won't say his name, but he's a very good, trusted friend that I've known since I was a teenager. And he said to me, so what's it like trying to discipline the you out of your daughter?
Yeah, I know.
But
funny.
that was her explanation. And the principal called me. It was one Friday. I was taking a friend's son to chemo. And he says, hey, Daryl, and it's blah, blah, blah. Are you up? I was like, what did you just say? It was like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. I go, what did you just say? Did you just ask me if I was up? You mean, am I home eating freaking bonbons? I said, as a matter of fact, I'm taking my friend and her son to chemo up at Boston Children's Hospital, which any other normal person would say, hey, let me call you back. Not him. He says, well, I just want you to know that I didn't investigate your daughter's claim under Title IX. I investigated it under a parent complaint. I said, I'm not going to argue with you, Pat. I said, actually, I don't care under what auspices you investigated. Where is the report? I want to see it. And why did you lie? And why did you not interview my daughter, who's the victim? And why did you not interview the 3 witnesses' names that I gave you? And you know what he said to me? Well, now you're kind of stepping on legal boundaries, and I'm going to refer you to the school attorney. Now, this is a guy whose brother is a police officer, and we investigated murders together. So I thought, not that I expected favoritism, but I expected responsiveness. Because I said everybody deserves due process and professional review. So here is a state trooper, retired state trooper, reporting to a school that they would like an investigation of unwelcome touching. Unwelcome touching. I didn't say he was a perv. I didn't say he was a pedophile. You know what they said to me? We can't possibly fire him now because it would seem retaliatory. Get this, because we tried to fire him last year for non-performance. But the principal didn't do his in-person evaluation and pencil whipped it instead while he's making $165,000 a year. So the superintendent, who I spoke with for 3 hours, Meg Mayo Brown, she doesn't work there anymore. I don't know where Meg Mayo Brown's working anymore, but the other person is working in Nauset as a principal at Nauset schools. So you see what I'm saying? They resigned.
They bounce them around. Yeah.
And I can tell you one thing, that what they told you, that they couldn't terminate or anything like that, is something that would come from an administrator. That is not something that would come from the board. Okay, because I can pretty much tell you that
the superintendent's mouth.
I understand it's from the superintendent's mouth, but it's not something that came from the board, because I know, and Carrie knows, that if there's ever any type of incident like that that affects the children, it's like remove them from the position first and then do the investigation.
Yeah.
Let me tell you,
then
the
we'll
same
deal
school,
with it. Yep.
the same school, someone that I met, when this came out, told me that a teacher said to his daughter, "Nice dress," and being kind of scummy about it. So the girl reported it. She thought it was inappropriate. She had boundaries and she stuck up for herself and reported it. And they did nothing about it. Then she reported it again, and the teacher was supposedly suspended for 6 months. Well, he comes back, and the rules say that you are supposed, the Title IX says you are supposed to notify the victim that the perpetrator is coming back into the school. They actually, after this girl reported how inappropriate she was, this same principal who ignored, this was before my daughter, ignored that girl's request, a school resource officer investigated it and said, well, he just said she had a nice dress. The girl knows how uncomfortable she was. It's not objective, okay? It's subjective. So the teacher comes back, and the girl is pissed. She's like, you got to be kidding me. So they have a slam poetry. She's in poetry. And she starts talking about, I'm 16, and you say, nice dress. You're 50, and I'm 15, and you say, nice dress. You know how they do those slam poetry?
Yeah.
So the teacher who heard the slam, and I'm sorry I'm going on about this, and I'm so emotional about it, but it still bothers me to this day. The teacher reported that this was a disturbing slam poetry. Okay. So what does this principal do? He brings the girl in because she gets pissed that he doesn't do anything. And she writes a change.org petition and tells everybody what the principal did and how she felt and how she thinks he should be fired. He brought her into his office by herself.
Big no-no.
That the Massachusetts Teachers Association was going to sue her. but previous to this, they brought the parents in, and they said, we want you to take that down, that change.org. He says, no, I implore my daughter to hold on to her boundaries and speak her truth, and I'm not going to tell her to do it. You know, it's not a violation. It's not the business of the school. But that principal threatened that 16-year-old girl to sue her while her parents weren't there. So they decided, because this girl was trying to get into college, that they felt retaliated against by this principal, but they did not sue. Okay. This same principal, prior to my daughter, was accused of being racially discriminatory because he didn't like the way the black kids at the Barnstable High School wore their pants like they were in prison, down past their waist. Mm-hmm. So he went out of his way to purchase bright neon pink zip ties. Do you know how hard you have to look for bright neon pink zip ties? He put his hands on students.
You can't shame students like that.
He did. He zip tied, and he bragged about it. Okay. He zip tied their pants to pull them up to the waist, and he said, if you don't have this on by the end of the day, I'm going to suspend you. So first of all, what I said to him is, do you like your job? He goes, yeah. I said, do you think it's okay that you put your hands on a student and with bright neon pink zip ties, which you obviously premeditatedly purchased? Okay, you don't automatically have bright neon pink zip ties in your top drawer as a principal of Barnstable High School. Now, everybody thinks that this guy's a hero. Oh, hey, how you doing? Hey, everything's cool. He did absolutely nothing. He was discriminatory. It was reported to the school. They did nothing. These girls were assaulted. This girl was assaulted by a teacher who was 16. He said, well, it's consensual, so there's nothing I can do about it. I can't protect her. So he sent her to Cape Cod Community College. So I said to him, does Cape Cod Community College take attendance? Because if you're going to send her to dual enrollment at Cape Cod Community College with 30-year-old men, and we don't do background checks on college students, you're abdicating your responsibility. You're abdicating the safety of that student to some unknown person, and you're putting her, a girl who is just, in my opinion, sexually preyed upon by a 50-year-old teacher, and you're going to call it consent. Her mother was bipolar, and her father had just either committed suicide or died. I can't really remember. She was a straight A student and a 3-sport starter.
Listen, I mean, I know you told me about this, but I don't think you ever told me the part where they said it was consensual, because a 16-year-old can't consent.
Well,
and I don't care. Not when it comes to school districts. No, they cannot.
I agree.
No, they cannot. And quite frankly, what the hell that principal should have done is she should have suspended that damn teacher, and he should have revoked the damn teaching credentials. That is outrageous. Yep. I cannot believe. And if that was the Barnstable School District or whatever school district it was, or whoever was on that damn board, holy mother of God, I would have been down there in 2 seconds flat.
Now here's why that is specifically egregious to me. And Carrie, you and I talked about this earlier today. I don't know if you had a chance to review it. Fitzgerald versus the Barnstable School Committee is this little girl, I believe her name was Jacqueline, and she was at Hyannis West Elementary School. She's on the bus, and these other two boys said, hey, show us your underwear or whatever. Or, hey, pull your underwear aside and let us see. So these, she's a little kid, maybe 6 or so, right? So she tells her parents, and she reports to the principal and the superintendent. You know what they tell her? Why don't you drive your kid to school? It doesn't seem like anything. Kids will be kids, right?
What the hell?
So the parents are like, what? And you know what? I've been trying to find these parents. If anybody knows them, we'd love to have them on the show, because they were the ones that revolutionized Chapter 1983, which I'll talk about maybe next week. But what ended up happening is they sued the school, and the state court said, you know what, Title IX, doesn't cover civil rights. So, pound sand. So then it was on appeal. And on appeal, they were told to pound sand. These parents were so persistent, like Diane and I are, dogged in our investigations, that they asked for what's called a writ of certiorari. And a writ of certiorari means that we want the Supreme Judicial Court of the United States, and they only take a certain number of cases. I want to say between 10 and 15. That's very little. The Supreme Judicial Court only takes cases on a writ of certiorari of cases that they want to take. So they have a wide discretion. So Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Alito, I'm sorry, I can't remember his first name, John
Samuel.
Roberts.
Samuel Alito.
John Roberts, and I apologize that I can't remember the rest of the justices that were there, but this was decided in 2008 in Barnstable County. So how the school committee in Barnstable County wasn't schooled on this? The ruling was that the Supreme Court justices said that Title IX does not preclude someone for suing under 1983, Chapter 42. I don't know if it's called Title 42 or whatever. It's a federal statute, 42, 1983. You can sue these people personally. So when this happened to my daughter, I wrote to the Barnstable School Committee, and I said, if I wasn't already involved in a lawsuit with the state police for sexual harassment, I'd sue the shit out of you people. I'd be driving your car. I'd be renting your house out, and I'd let the other one on fire if I wanted to. Because
they were so non-responsive to you. I was pretty infuriated.
They were extremely non-responsive, but the principal doesn't work there anymore, and he has to drive all the way to Eastham or whatever to go to. I hope he thinks about me and my daughter every single day. The superintendent doesn't work there anymore. So as far as I'm concerned, the school committee wasn't responsive to me. I offered, our firm, Diane and I's firm, offered to give them training how not to be sued, and they refused it. And instead, did this like phony investigation. And this is the problem. These schools will hire an attorney, and attorneys are allowed to lie by omission. When you hire an investigative firm like Diana, we're certified fraud examiners, you cannot lie. And they lie by omission. And Carrie, this is how they cover it up.
Yeah.
And, God bless Heather. Heather, is that the mom's name? Caitlin, sorry. But so, can you tell us what happened? So you were it was a sort of a budget meeting, and they said to you, this isn't an appropriate venue. Will you tell me, what's her name, the superintendent of the Kingston schools?
The superintendent, I don't remember what the name is.
It's a female, though, right?
It's a female, yes.
When is an appropriate time to talk about an indecent assault of a female student in your district?
Yeah, exactly.
When?
Now, look, I get it, and this is my point, and even Diane, right? I agree. I even actually said to there was quite a few parents that were there, and she had like probably 15 people that were supporting her, right? That came to the meeting. And I said to them, all of them afterwards, I said, I just want you guys to know the fact that we were able to hijack that meeting for over 40 minutes was pretty impressive. Okay.
Yes.
Because I'm telling you right now, it's usually 3 minutes tops. They take 3 or 4 comments and you're done. I said, we just made an impact in this meeting. I said, now what you need to do is you need to go to every single meeting that's happening across your town and show up and say, what are you doing as a planning board member to make sure that the citizens are put ahead of and have safety and, so on and so forth. And they were like, really? I said, that's how you get it done. This is how you make change.
But most importantly, they need to go and get even more people to go to the local school board meeting.
Yep,
and get standing room only if she can get that many people to say enough is enough.
Yep.
You have got to make change, and the reason the impact will be there is because your principal will be at that board meeting. You'll have all of your, some of the department heads, but the superintendent will also be at that meeting, more than likely, or the assistant superintendent. And you demand change.
Yeah, it's in the middle of May.
Because I can tell you,
May, we're gonna make sure.
A lot of times the last people to really know, and unfortunately it's the proper way to do it, because your school board is your judge and jury, whether it comes to personnel, whether it comes to student expulsions. They have to be unbiased because that's when they get sued if they're not.
Yep.
But a lot of times they don't know unless they're made aware of it, unofficially, we'll call it.
Yes.
But it has to go through the channels, because one little mistake and you find, a really good school district attorney, they can, stop a parent from getting the help that they need.
Yes, I agree.
And that's why a lot of school boards, the ones that are, and I hate to say it, a lot of Democrats that are on the school boards will always fall right in line with the superintendent. They look at the superintendent like they're a god. And it's like, wait a minute, the superintendent is the only employee of the school board, which means you are in charge of him or her, not the other way around. People don't realize it.
Nope, you're absolutely right. They become weak and they lean on the superintendent. Now, I will say that I think part of it is because, look, as school committee members, right, we're volunteers.
Yes.
We're people in the community who, frankly, a lot of times we learn the job on the job.
Yes.
So you have a superintendent who understands how school boards run, understands because they went to school to understand how to work with school boards, right? When you don't feel confident in your position on the board, oftentimes you become, complacent and you want to believe in your superintendent. So you look for them for guidance. Now, for me, as more of a conservative school board member, I ask the questions. I push back.
Mm-hmm.
I try to do it diplomatically, sidebar conversations and such out of respect and to try to get things done. But I also understand that, showing up the way that we did last night at the meeting, showing that, letting her know that she was not in it alone and that she is on the right side of things and that she is now taking a role not just to protect her children, but to be an advocate for other children in the district and for other parents who don't have the opportunity or the herewithal, to speak up. They're nervous, they're scared, retaliation, embarrassment. She has now taken the reins in the Kingston School District as a parent who has had enough, and she's not going to back down.
And we all remember what happened.
Her and support her,
And we all remember what happened in Loudoun County in Virginia when the sexual assault happened of the student.
Yep.
With the rape that happened in the bathroom, and it started with an angry father.
Yep.
And then it grew and it grew and it grew to the point where when you had the superintendent hiding things and you had the school board that was hiding things with him and the parents had just had enough. I mean, there was I think they ended up having standing room only. They had overflow rooms because people were so angry and they were tired of being lied to.
Yep.
And
still to this day, they are involved. The community is there to make sure they continue to do what they're supposed to be doing for the students and for the citizens, because that's what you're there for.
Yes.
Represent their constituents, the citizens of that district.
I mean, I can't tell you, and I'm sure you've dealt with this, Carrie, as well, when I was on the school board, how many meetings, sometimes there would just be a representative for the teachers union that would be sitting there, no parents. And It used to drive me insane because I'd be like, no, why aren't people asking questions? I mean, we're making, obviously when you have a good board, you make good decisions, know. And when you have a good superintendent, because I've worked with, I don't even know how many superintendents I've worked with. We've had the best of the best, and we've had the dregs of society. And I'll give you one example, I asked him, I said, what do you consider differentiated teaching? Good question, right?
Yep.
His reply was, well, you have a teacher and you give them all the same book, and you have, the kids that are at a more excelled level reading 60 pages, and then the ones that aren't quite as far ahead, maybe 40 pages. And then you have the others read 20, 30 pages. And I'm like, so how is a teacher supposed to conduct a classroom discussion if 30% of the class is 30% ahead? How can you possibly handle that? Well, they have to be, they have to be a good teacher. And I was like, you're the principal of the school. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you sit there and you talk about the pendulum for the heterogeneous classrooms and the homogeneous. You want the homogeneous classrooms because you want your students that are further ahead to be, with a teacher that is going to challenge them and get them further ahead. I'm not a huge proponent. Obviously, differentiated teaching is in the lower grades, but I don't think it should be in the higher grades. And unfortunately, you have a lot of schools that are now trying to, push the heterogeneous into the higher grades. And they're cutting gifted and talented programs and honors programs. And then you can see they're dumbing down education in the college levels, by, taking away the SATs and the ACT scores and all that stuff. And the challenge of being at the same level as China, or because they're far ahead of us education wise.
Yes.
And it's gone. STEM is gone. We're too busy deciding on who should use what bathroom rather than concentrating on STEM programs. And we don't protect our kids in the bathrooms. And for that poor mother, I would have lost my mind.
Yeah.
And
it's really sad. And even her husband is he's in the Army Reserves, and he was active duty, and now he's in the reserves. And and like you said yesterday, to me too, he goes, listen, I'm so upset and I am beside myself, but I'm in the military, with my job, I just have to Caitlin's got to talk. Right. And And I thought to myself, and I understand everybody's got their roles, so it's not that, but you could see that because of, politics and because of, the social, justice stuff that's happening in society in all levels, corporate, everywhere, those illegal immigrants, that's these children that are victimizing these children, they are illegal immigrants, live up the street in a hotel. And he's like, I just kind of stay away from it in that respect because of his job, his livelihood for his family. So you've got the mom who has to be the one who's got to stand up, and he's still gonna get some. I'm sure there's going to be some sort of recourse that's going to happen.
If there is some recourse for him or his wife protecting their children, I would certainly hope that they would bring it to you, bring it to Darrell and I, because we will splash this all over the entire planet. Because I'm tired of this. I'm so tired of, for the sake of propriety, if you will, or protection of, illegal immigrants over citizens.
Yeah.
We pay the taxes here.
Well, and I think that's the problem. It's not about, look, everybody needs to be treated, properly. Everybody needs to be protected. I agree with that. But as soon as you start putting illegal immigrants over the safety, security, and lives of, now you have a problem. Now,
ladies, can I just interject 1 second, because we're at 9:59, but I want to say that it is in our United States Constitution that we educate children that come to this country. It's in our Constitution, in that we need to be able to balance, the overwhelming amount of students that we have with the Constitution, but also with the safety of American citizen students.
So we're at the end of our show, but this is not the end, because join us next week when we will have Caitlin, who will tell the story of what's going on with her kids, where she is at in her fight to get the information out there about what is happening in the schools. Carrie, you'll be joining us next week as well?
I would love to. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And of course, Darrell will be here, and so will Diane. So we will see you all next week. We'll be putting stuff up on the Double D Uncensored as well as on Twitter about this ongoing story. It was great to see that Libs of TikTok spoke with Caitlin as well and helped expose this. And hopefully we'll just keep getting the information out, because I know there are more kids that have been affected by issues like this, and they need the voice that'll speak for them in addition to speaking for the parents as well. So hope everybody has a great week. Thank you, Carrie, for coming on. Thank you, Darrell.
God bless everybody, and please keep your students safe and listen to what your children tell you.
Yes. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks.